With the latest 3.0 livestream, we are going to be shafted again as we're gonna think about who we should pull for. The Herta, Aglaea, or any of the 6 rerun banners. Like, oh my god, what is happening? Hello internet! And in today's video, I'll be breaking down the Herta, Aglaea, along with the reruns in order to help you decide who to pull for. And without further ado, let us start. The first character to ponder upon will be the Herta. Except looking like a snack, she is also unique, where she is an ice erudition character. To show in the conclusion, she is a very strong AoE DPS that is still decent in single target scenarios. And now let's take a look at her kit. From the livestream, the Herta's talent is able to inflict this interpretation mark on top of all of the enemies that are attacked. This mark can stack up to a total of 42 stacks, and any attack from all allies will be able to apply these marks as long as the Herta is on the field. The Herta deals damage based on the number of stacks, so the more stacks they are, the more damage the Herta can do. Pretty simple. From that alone, it is obvious that the best allies for the Herta are characters with AoE attacks, so you can increase these marks as fast as you can. On top of that, the Herta will deal even more damage if there are any other erudition characters in your team, which makes sense considering she prefers characters with AoEs to begin with. This is not a cause for concern because I'm glad to tell you the normal ice Herta can pair fine with the Herta, though definitely less ideal. But yeah, don't worry about not owning the premium options like Jade. You can still use her with just the normal Herta, but I have to emphasize it's not the ideal pairing. Moving on, let's take a look at her ultimate, which is an AoE attack that rearranges the number of interpretation marks. From the livestream, it shows that it transfers the highest number of interpretation mark to elites or bosses over smaller mobs. This means that as long as you use this, you will not be wasting much damage on the mobs as all of the stacks are on the boss. Very helpful. On top of that, it also enhances the Herta's skill. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the Herta's normal skill first, which honestly is just a 3 target hit, nothing too much. But once you use your ult to enhance it, this enhanced skill now becomes her main source of damage, so pay attention. Upon using the enhanced skill, the Herta uses the normal skill first, and after that, she attacks all enemies and deals damage based on the stacks of interpretation marks on the primary target. So that means you want to target the enemy with the highest stacks possible, which is usually sorted on the boss or elite through your ultimate ability. After the attack, the marks on the primary target will be reset, while all other marks will remain. With that said, we can conclude on the Herta's role. She's designed to be a strong AoE DPS that can still be solid against singular bosses. A fairly straightforward character if you ask me. And hey, you may think she doesn't sound crazy, but let me just tell you, her damage with 42 stacks of marks might turn out to be out of this world. Wink. Here are a list of pros and cons. The good is certainly how she has very high AoE damage that can also still be solid against single boss. The bad is that she needs another erudition character in the team, and there aren't really a lot of versatile erudition options out there, unlike Akron with the Hildy path, right? Another thing will be that she's quite skill point hungry, and of course, she's still less ideal against singular boss, but you may just decide to use someone else instead of the Herta. To answer the question, should you pull the Herta? As usual, pull for who you love. It's the default answer. A general answer though is that you don't need the Herta if you already own 2 good teams that clears everything. For meta players, the Herta will only be good if her numbers end up being broken high, which you'll have to wait for the official release to know for sure, just like any other DPS. And hey, I'll be covering her on the Creator Experience server soon, so yeah, drop us up, eh? I suggest only going for the Herta if you own Jade as well, since that is her ideal pairing. But if you really want to go that far, you can still just pick up Jade through the reruns that's going to be run at the same time as the Herta. For everyone else, I honestly can't give it the perfect answer, but I personally think everyone should just be more hyped up for Aglaea with her new path and mechanics though. Most people don't get the luxury to get both the Herta and Aglaea, so in the end, I actually think the best idea is to just pull for who you love more out of the 2. That's the real way to play Star Rail anyways, and me personally, I like to think a lot of people are hyped up for the new Remembrance path Aglaea. Oh hey, I might be wrong though. If you just love the Herta, go get her. Speaking of Aglaea, let's take a look at what my 15th mommy in the Honkai series does. Aglaea is a lightning Remembrance path character. To conclude, she's a strong multi-target DPS with a summon entity. Let's start by looking at her talent, which allows Garment Maker, which is her summon, to appear with its own HP bar on the field. You can see its HP bar under her icon here. Garment Maker also appears on the action bar, and it will attack the moment it takes action, much like a Numbi. A big difference is that Garment Maker can be targeted by enemies' attacks, and it can also be targeted by allies' heals or buffs too. You can see right here that Garment Maker is straight up the 5th character of your team. Whether Garment Maker attacks or is attacked will all generate energy for Aglaea, as if it is an actual unit that got attacked. You can think of it as a real 5th character in your team, and that's the whole gimmick with Remembrance Path. The Garment Maker will do a 3 target attack the moment it takes action. This also increases its own own speed. Moving up next, let's take a look at Aglaea's ultimate. Upon using it, she increases her own speed on top of gaining a variety of damage boosts, as you can see on screen. Her basic attack is also enhanced. Notice as well, she can only use her enhanced basic after her ultimate. The enhanced basic is a 3-target attack that deals a lot of damage, and it further increases Garment Maker's speed as well. It is also mentioned that a Garment Maker will disappear after a set amount of period, which Aglaea will summon again through using her normal skill, which is shown to just summon Garment Maker, nothing too crazy. From that, we can conclude on Aglaea's role. She's a strong multi-target DPS with a summon entity mechanic. Now again, how strong is a DPS depends on the numbers, but with how Hoyo have designed their releases, it is likely that Aglaea is designed to be the best pairing with Sunday. On paper, what you can expect is for a hyperspeed Sunday to constantly pull up a speedy Aglaea and Garment Maker together. This has potential to be one of the strongest team in the game, given you do need a Sunday now. With that said, here are a list of pros and cons. The pros to start is that Aglaea is of the Remembrance path, which Hoyo already announced to be the main focus of version 3. So do prepare for coming releases to be really skewed towards this path. Secondly, she can take an absurd amount of actions with her summon. And finally, she is skill point efficient since she uses mostly basic attacks. Her cons though would be that she may be less prominent without Sunday, and you may have skipped Sunday. I personally don't think she'd be unusable without Sunday though, especially with the new Remembrance Trailblazer around that can also action advance, but still having a Sunday should just be her best pairing. And that's really all I can think of. To finally answer the question, should you pull the Herta or Aglaea? Well, I will sit my butt on the fence and say pull for who you love as usual, and I'll also get off the fence and say pull Aglaea, bro. She is of the new path, she has a whole new mechanic. Does it not pique your curiosity and interest, man? Jokes aside, considering the fact that even Hoyo themselves have mentioned version 3 has an emphasis on the new path, getting Aglaea would just be the safe bet that she will not be bad for months to come. While the Herta do look really attractive, I think most people will follow the trend of grabbing a shiny new path personally, but I would say right now that you don't need none of these characters to beat the game at all. If you got yourself a Nakaron team, well, it still works. Got yourself a perfect Feixiao team, that should just beat everything. That aside, if you're all meta talk though, I would still one-sidedly recommend Aglaea since it is the big new path that Hoyo wants to market. So expect various endgame to be skewed towards her, including some future character releases as well to help out the Remembrance path. However, do not worry, Hoyo should not just forsake every other character. At least they haven't quite done it too unforgivingly in my opinion. Most of the limited 5 stars in the game are still definitely usable than not. With all that said, we finally get to think about the reruns, which just so happens they are doing the triple rerun banner event where you get to choose which banner you want to go for. Coming along with the Herta's banner is Lingsha, Feixiao, and Jade. Oh my god, what are we supposed to do, man? Feixiao here is god tier if you have the follow-up attack supports. Jade here is the best pairing with the new Herta, while Lingsha is actually great for the Herta's team as well, considering she wants AoE attacks to be present in the team. I won't sit here and bore you because I'm sure you know what they can do, but simply put, if you are sure that you want to get the Herta and you want to main her, go ahead and pull yourself a Jade. She is the perfect pairing. That's a no-brainer. Lingsha here is a safer Gallagher, which I suggest against pulling unless you have a surplus of resources. You know, with all these new characters coming along, I bet you want them, so unless you have a surplus, there's no point getting Lingsha. Worst come to worst, you stick with Gallagher. For Feixiao, you only pull her if you own Robin and a good follow-up attack team. If you do, Feixiao is still the top tier DPS, basically the best of the best at the moment. Though things may change in version 3.0, so I will still suggest against going for her, but you know you got the shiny new stuff dangling in front of you. Obviously, still pull for who you like. That's just the best answer anyway. Phase 2's triple rerun sees Boothill, Robin, and Silverwolf. Boothill is the strongest single target super break damage dealer, but for that to be true, you do need Ron Mei and Harmony MC or Feud. I personally suggest against pulling for him if you already own a super break team with Firefly, simply because you don't absolutely need him if Firefly beats everything already. There are going to be cases where Boothill is better than Firefly, but well, if you're just trying to beat stuff, Firefly is going to do more than enough. However though, as usual, if you're a Boothill main, well, go for it. After that, let's talk about Silverwolf. For me, it is a definite skip. Her role can be taken by a free Pella, so yeah, unless you just love her, there's no real reason to spend resources on her over all the other banners we have. Speaking of other banners, we do have Robin now, which is going to be the big one. Now, first of all, she's here a third time as a rerun, so if you still don't have have Robin, you probably just don't want Robin, no? How have you missed the previous 2 reruns, man? Jokes aside, Robin is the strongest AoE buffer for full-up attack specifically, but she's also just strong generally that can be a fit in a multitude of teams, like a good dot team, or even with Aglaea's team. The reason being, she gives her whole team extra turns with her ult, and no one hates that. The damage boost that she brings is also really high, and do remember, without good supports, even Akron is ass. And Robin here appears to be one of the best buffers you can ask for. So surprisingly, I will still personally pull Robin over anyone else if I don't own at least 2 good supports, because it is simply the most important role in the game. There are no teams that can do well if they don't have good supports. I recommend going for Robin first over any new characters or reruns, and only then think about the other banners. And whew, that was long. And that is also the end of today's video as well. I hope I helped you out, and yeah, God, our stellar Jades are in trouble, man. I'll be trying harder with all the content and stuff. I'll try and post more, and I'll try and try more fun things as well. So I hope you guys stick along for 2025. Hey, yeah, dude, drop a sub if you don't hate me. And that is all. I gotta go sleep now. Take care.